How's it going, guys? Yeah. You guys ready for the hackathon?
Yes.
How many of you guys got problems set done over the weekend? Nice. Awesome. Guys, it's really great. All right, so tonight we have got the premiere talk for you guys. I was able to bully Ricky into giving a last-minute talk on hackathon essentials. I mean, Ricky is the expert at hackathons. The expert. So, I'm going to tell you guys two really simple things on stuff you can do at the hackathon that will just make your code awesome. And you can do them really quick, in like 5 minutes. And then Ricky's going to give a little talk on how to survive a hackathon and just some pointers on how to get through, how to do the best, and what you really need to do. But first, let me give you guys a little demo of who's doing HTML stuff right now. Nice. How's it going? What's the biggest frustration? Validator? Yeah. Kind of sucks. But, well, Dana, you're using PHP Storm, right?
She is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I wanted to show you guys a couple real quick things on how to debug HTML, debug JavaScript, inspect HTML, and work with CSS in the Chrome browser. Now, you can use Firebug. Opera has some of the same tools that work just as well. But right here we've got our launch code lookup site, and actually I've got it hosted live right now, and I'll show you this trick in just a second. But if you go to this web address right here, you can actually access the app that I'm running on my machine locally, and that's just a temporary address. I'll give you guys the permanent one at the end of the talk, but I was able to launch it locally to this web address in like 2 minutes. I'll show you guys how. But I added a couple new things. So if you want to search for Sam, it's going to tell you how many launch coders are have the name Sam. Or if you want to search for who's on problem set 7, it's going to say, hey, 12 people are on problem set 7. And you can scroll down, see their faces, see who they are. It's really kind of nice. So I had a couple of issues putting the site together. I want to show you how I debugged them. First of all, HTML and CSS for me has always been a little bit of a tricky concept, just in that the comeback time, the feedback time takes a while because you have to make change, reload the website, make change, reload the website. In Chrome, they give us this really handy tool of being able to inspect HTML. How many of you guys are using inspect? Nice. Okay, good. So essentially what inspect does, you can right-click on any piece of code and say inspect element, and it's going to take you exactly to where the HTML is in your project. Another really nice thing is that you can highlight over pieces of code. Like if I want to look at, I expand this out a little bit. You want to really figure out how things are happening. I can put my cursor over a piece of HTML, and it's actually going to highlight in the browser what text it's talking about. So that's pretty nice. Another nice thing is notice over here on the side, CSS. CSS can drive me kind of crazy sometimes, especially because it's hierarchical. You can apply multiple attributes to the same thing, and it's kind of based on which one comes first. So with the CSS editor, you can inspect this piece of code, and then come right over here, and you can look at exactly what CSS is being applied to that piece of code right there. What makes it really nice is that you can even edit this inline. So if I want to make this width 80%, I just change it like that. It doesn't change my source code. It just changes it right there in the browser. And gives you really fast feedback on how to update, how to make your HTML, how to make your CSS look really good. That being said, also you want to make sure you're using a modern browser. I know he's going to do a talk on PHP Storm on Wednesday, but I've been using WebStorm. It's just kind of like for HTML and JavaScript. And it's got code it's able to guess what type of code you want to write. So let me open it up here real quick and show you guys an example. Also, after the trial period expires, you can use it for 30 minutes at a time. I've been doing that for 2 years. It's really a productivity technique. It's called the Pomodoro technique. I'm working 30-minute increments. Oh yeah, by the way, on this HTML console, on this console in Chrome, you can also see all the items that load and see anything that loads with 404, which is kind of nice. I've got one more thing to show you in Chrome console, but let's edit some of the source code first. All right, as you guys become CSS experts, you guys are going to memorize all of the attributes and all of the different values that can go with each attribute. But until then, make it easy on yourself. Use something like PHP Storm, WebStorm, or like Sam said, there are lots of open source browser editors out there that do code completion for you. So you can just press enter right here, and then anytime you press Control Space, it's going to suggest to you code that you can put in for CSS. So if I want to say, how about color, and then press Control Space again, I don't have to look up these hex codes anymore because I can just be like, oh, okay, I want that one. So it knows all the CSS for you. It makes it a lot easier. So do something like that. One last thing I want to show you in Chrome is working with JavaScript. So JavaScript's, who's had trouble with JavaScript? What? Yeah. Are you guys using jQuery in PHP? Yeah, you are. Yeah. So, I mean, JavaScript's so nice because it's just not typed, and but one of the things is it either works or it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it's not going to tell you why. It's just not going to work. So there's a couple of things that we can do to make that easier. So for example, like I'm going to put an S right here. I'm going to put an extra S. I'm going to rename this a variable right here. So now I've got some pretty definite errors in my JavaScript. And let's reload this page and see what happens. Oh. Okay, great. I think it's pretty broken. Let's take a look. I hope it's broken. All right, nice. So we can look in this Chrome console and see. All right, hey, we've got no method name success with 3 S's. That's an easy fix. We can easily go into our JavaScript and fix that and refresh. But another nice thing about, and here we get this message, data 1 is not defined. Another nice thing is that we can actually debug our JavaScript right in the browser itself. And so we can actually put a breakpoint right here, and how about right here? And now when we refresh the page, it's going to stop, just like in GDB. And we can, this is actually right before it makes the request to the server. And so we can put in a watch expression right over here and be like, hey, what is scope at close equal to? All right, it's just equal to an empty array. Nothing is in there right now. So we can go ahead and send it to the next breakpoint. And now it's come back from the server. And let's take a look at our different variables. We can be like, okay, what's in data 1? Oh, it doesn't even exist. That's why I'm getting that error, right? But if I take a look at data, now I can see that, hey, I got 51 objects back. I can look at all the values of each object. Really lets you go in depth and find out where you had your error right away. So, hopefully that helped you guys out a little bit with work pset 6, pset 7, pset 8. I know getting into that web stuff can be kind of tricky in the beginning. Now let me show you just one really quick thing for the hackathon, and I'll hand it over to the expert, Ricky. So you notice that I was using this. I've got this weird URL right here for my app, and I mentioned that this is actually running off my local machine. And so one of the things about Hackathon is if it's not live, it's not really real. Like, you have to be able to show it off to people. You can't be like, hey, come look at my laptop. I've got this awesome website. No, you gotta make it live. You gotta make it live. And so there's a tool out there, and it's called, it used to be called Local Tunnel, but now it's called NGRock. And essentially, it just takes your local server and pushes it out to some server that gets made up. And they've got, if you sign up for it, you can actually push it out to your domain. If you wanted to get a domain up real quick and not wait for DNS servers to transfer. But if you just wanted to show people something like, hey, here's my app, here's the public URL address, you can just say, hey, use NGRock. So you click download. Actually do this in here. So you just click download, it gives you a little zip, and then it's just a real small executable. So NGRock, we can type in /NGRock-help. Okay, and if we just want to forward our port 80, which is the default port, we can say, all right, I want to forward my default port 80 over to some web address. I don't really care what web address, I just want to show people it. So that, okay, now it's live. And I can say, just copy this. And I can go, we can go to any computer we want now. If you guys want to try it out there, I can paste this up. Make sure you guys can see it. And so yeah, now I'm running my local, from my appliance, running my local problem set live on the internet so everybody can use it. So this is just a real easy way. If you want to show off your code in 5 minutes, not have to put up on a DNS server, use NGRock. It's really easy. You can get more complicated, and the docs are pretty easy to read. But that's about it for me. So I'll hand, Ricky, are you ready? Oh my God, nice. All right, great. All right. Oh, and by the way, I figured out what was wrong with my GitHub. It's not that I'm like a mean. Last week, GitHub wouldn't let me on their site. It's not that I'm some type of mean hacker villain. It turns out that I just updated iOS Mavericks and invalidated one of my certificates, and wouldn't let me on. So that was, if anybody has iOS Mavericks and you update and GitHub starts being mean to you, that's the reason why. So right up here, I've got my repository Momenty CS50 connection. This is my repository for the launch code lookup. Oh, let me actually fix this code real quick. So yeah, guys, this is, I made this up just so we could keep track of where everybody's at, what everybody's interested in. And since I put it up on GitHub, it's an open source project, which means not only is it free for you guys to fork and download, but it's also free for you guys to contribute to. And actually, instead of you guys emailing me constantly like, hey, I just finished problem set 5, or hey, I want to do a Java project, it's actually going to be you guys going into this GitHub repository and making the update yourself. And so Ricky just did a pull request, and he'll redo the pull request maybe here in a second, so he'll show you how to do it, but I'll reload this page and show you exactly how I accept it. Hey, Ricky. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Ricky also put in a bug report for me, so I thank him for that very much. Ricky, how did I accept this?
Click on it.
I clicked on it.
And then you merge pull requests.
Merge pull request. Alright, now it updated people.json. And I can reload my website. I got Ricky's name in here. No?
No, apparently.
Where'd you merge?
Did I mess it up? Did you deploy? As you can see, we're really professional.
Oh, you know what? I need to do a git pull.
You need a pull.
I need to do a git pull. Yeah, and reload the server. So I'll pull down the new request. Actually, tonight I'm going to hook this up to Travis CI, so that anytime you guys make a change to this website, it's automatically going to get redeployed out to the web. Like, anytime I accept a pull request. So, I'll give you guys that address later on. Right, merge pull request, confirm merge.
I don't see you accepting my merge. Oh, we need to confirm them.
Never mind code.
Git doesn't like my. Yeah, it's not showing the.
Well, anyway, this will work. So if you guys give me a pull request, just if you show them how to do a pull request the right way. And I'm kidding. But yeah, at least check this project out. Do a pull request, and then we can keep all this information updated. And I'll send you guys out the link to the main site. So, yeah, Ricky, all yours, man.
Oh, you Mac users. That's not my desktop at all. So, hello. For those who don't know, I live over at Soldiers Memorial. That's why I probably don't recognize most of you guys. But I'm going to do this on the hackathon. How many of you guys are excited?
Yeah.
How many of you guys know what a hackathon is? How many of you guys have been to a hackathon? Oh, hey.
Sort of. When
Oh,
we
okay.
went, last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Some of you. Yes, this is the same presentation. But basically, I'm telling this how not to save the world in 6 hours, because the purpose of a hackathon is for you to go build something cool, something fun, something that makes people go, wow, but you're probably not going to save the world. But first, let's start with, what is a hackathon? It is an event over a duration of time where people gather, usually working in a group, to produce some kind of product. And the product is theoretically supposed to solve some kind of problem. That's the simple way of, straightforward way of explaining it. And the picture over there is the TechCrunch hackathon from 2013. And they had 5,000 people show up. So this is a pretty popular thing. Happens a lot in a lot of the tech centers, which St. Louis will soon be because of you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, hackathons are cool things that people actually do. But so you see a hackathon and you're like, I want to do this. Most hackathons have a sponsor. Like the TechCrunch one was sponsored by TechCrunch. Salesforce sponsors one, Yahoo sponsors one, lots of companies sponsor them. In this case, for CS50 specifically, nobody's sponsoring it. But in general, you want to learn about who is sponsoring it because that's how you figure out how to impress them and win the prizes. Most hackathons have prizes. Most hackathons actually had really nice prizes going up into $10,000, $50,000. And when you go to a hackathon, most of them are done in groups. Our hackathon is done in a group. If you have not found a group yet, you should meet your neighbors. But with a hackathon, what you really want to look for in a team is to build something that's well-rounded. You don't want 5 people who are great at programming in PHP and PHP only. You want to diversify the people you're working with. And sometimes this works out in that you show up at a hackathon and you just collect people as you go. Like, you'll go there, you'll meet some group who has 3 people, you have 2 people, and you join together. And don't stress out about, like, people's skill set. You kind of just mix and you mingle and you work with what you have. And that's part of the fun of it. Okay, so you're at a hackathon, you have your group, what do you do there? And I've been asked this several times now over at Soldiers Memorial, and the idea of a hackathon is that you are trying to find a problem to solve. It doesn't have to be a huge problem, but you're looking to create a product that addresses some kind of issue. If an example out of Boston is that Code for America designed, the team from Code for America designed an app that allows residents to adopt fire hydrants. They were having an issue with fire hydrants being snowed in. They designed an app where people could adopt them and name them. It is wildly successful. But yeah, so find a little problem, make it interesting, and then propose a solution, and that's what you're going to try to address. And I highly recommend that you try to fit that into one sentence. If you can't fit into one sentence, it's probably too complicated, or you have not kind of gotten into its basic form. And for some inspiration about how you get to these ideas, some of the hacks that I've seen, they center around kind of these basic concepts where some people just show up and they're just learning something new. They see a cool library, they want to use it. And from there, they're like, well, I have a library. How can I solve a problem with it? There are people who already know a library and they want to step it up a bit. So maybe they are using something with computer vision and they want to step it up and get it to detect couches for whatever reason. Another really common one is just creating a new front end for data. You guys have all experienced Yahoo stocks, right? The interface isn't really all that great. It's kind of clunky, it's kind of Web 1.0-ish. Well, a cool hack would be to create a new front end where you can overlay, like 20 stocks, look at the regression, see which one is doing well in terms of absolute gains, so things like that. Another also really common one is just combining 2 or more services. You guys probably know Google Drive. You guys probably have used Dropbox in this class. Why not make a front end that merges the 2 together? All docs go to Google Drive, all images go to Dropbox. This is actually a hack that won 3rd place at Penn State, I believe. And there's also remaking something with different technology. Like, most things out there have already been done. It's just you kind of have to accept that. But you can also do it in a different way, in a better way, in a more user-friendly way, in a faster way. So you can take an idea out there and just remake it with, say, complete JavaScript using Node.js. And the final one, which I personally love, is just make something simple and silly, but make it really professional. Like a fart machine, if you will. Fart machine app. But make it really polished. Okay, so you have your project idea. You're coming in ahead of most people already. But most of you guys don't have a preferred language yet, or preferred IDE, or preferred text editor. But if you are going there and you're meeting new people, try to leave your preconceptions at the door. Like, arguing about whether Vim or Emacs is better gets you nowhere. And I have seriously seen arguments about which editor they should use. It's not very productive. Same thing with language. Use what language is going to solve the problem. And really the point is, use what works for your team. If you have a bunch of people who are really on the back end, well, C might work for you guys. If you have a bunch of more designer people, well, maybe you guys should stick on the JavaScript side and not do all the memory management. And talking about not arguing, try to build a consensus when you're at a hackathon. Like, usually people come in with ideas. You'll have an idea, somebody else will have an idea. You can only do one thing, likely. Try to not argue, try to get try to reach some kind of consensus on what you want to do. Get everybody to buy in on it. The last thing you want is for it to be 1 a.m. and for half your team to check out because they aren't invested in the project. And have a safe word. This is partly because when you get tired and when you're passionate, you get into arguments that devolve. And it's good for a team, in general, to have a way to stop an argument from spiraling out of control. For somebody to say, stop, let's take a step back, let's go get some coffee. And, okay, what you should bring. So now you're there, you're not arguing, you left your preconceptions out the door, you probably decided on an idea, what you should bring to it. You should bring your laptop or desktop, obvious. Bring a wall charger. This is extremely important if you're doing mobile development. Your phone, which we all have, charges much slower on your laptop than from a wall charger. That is just a USB standard. Your phone actually charges 4 times faster than being plugged into USB while transferring data. And if you're doing mobile apps, sometimes your phone will deplete battery faster than your laptop can charge it. So that's important. Maybe some pen, paper, and Post-its. Like, it's just nice to be able to draw things out. Like, switching your mode of thought helps you become more creative. It helps you brainstorm. And the Post-its are great when you've met that awesome guy who happens to have invented PHP, but is not at his computer right now, and you want to get in contact with them. Mouse is kind of obvious. Headphones, it's loud. And hygiene, please bring deodorant if you are somebody who sweats a lot. Okay, so you're there, you have your computer and stuff. Okay, first thing you should do when you sit down with your group, share your contact information. I have been to hackathons where we can't find the person who designed our database schema because he fell asleep on a couch in some other building. It sucks, especially when you're stressing out about it. Going along with that, put your phone on loud. Please do not have your phone on silent. If your team is trying to find you, it sucks. If you fall asleep and they're trying to wake you up, it sucks. And most importantly, don't be afraid of joining random conversations. When you're at a hackathon, you are surrounded by people who are going to be experts in fields that you didn't know even existed. I've been at hackathons with one of the inventors of PHP. Like, these are people you want to make connections with, to ask them questions down the line, or maybe to help you find a job down the line, since we are going to potentially have developers from our sponsor companies. Yes, but start an email, send it out with everybody's phone number. Make sure you don't get bounced emails, because that's silly. Okay, now you're sitting down, you're actually working on your project. You want to divide and conquer. This is kind of obvious because you can't all work on the same line of code, right? If you do, you will have merge conflicts. You will be angry. So a really good way of dividing it up is just based on the technologies you're using. If you are going to be heavy on the database side, well, maybe you should assign somebody to do the database and the adapter layer, so that everybody else doesn't have to worry about whether the query has to have, whether it's name or names, right? So break it down into the technologies you're using, and because you're starting from scratch, there's no code base, you want to build independent proofs of concept. So the guy who's working on the database can have a very simple thing where they have a button, and all it does is it inserts something. And then you have your front end team. They don't care about the database, they have a fake set of data that they're working with while designing the front UI. So break it apart. Also, make sure you sync up every hour or two. I would say hour since we have a 8-hour hackathon. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Sometimes you start working on something, we've all probably had it in this class by now, where you are so focused, you kind of lose track of the objective. We're just trying to solve that one bug. So make sure you sync up. Chronicle your adventures. How many of you guys have used GitHub? Everybody's hand should be up. Well, so one of the wonderful things that happens when you're working with a team on the same code base is that you need to make sure the code actually merges correctly and works together, and you need to keep track of it when bugs get introduced. So make sure you decide on a repository system and you use it. A tip for me is whenever you get to a point where you have something stable, put put a tag on it. Tags are like descriptions that you can link back to down the line. So if you're at a point where you have a minimum presentable product, you tag it saying draft 1 or version 1, so you can get back to it easily. And this is really useful when you get down the line. You get like 20 commits down. You're adding this cool new feature and something breaks. You can diff your current with that tag and you can see exactly what changed during that period of time. And finally, make your commit message into a story. I know, at least for me, oftentimes I want to put commit messages saying updated, let's see, fixed query to work properly. That doesn't say anything. That doesn't describe what happened. What should have happened is Bob ran into an issue trying to insert somebody whose name included an Indian name with non-standard characters. Thus, we had to change the field from a normal string to an extended string. Make it into a story so that when you look back on it, you know what happened. And then magic happens. The development process at a hackathon is chaotic, it's fun, it's very fluid. And really, by the time you get done, it kind of does seem like magic. Like, you just have something. And you don't know how it got there. But yeah. And then finally, most hackathons you also present in some way or form. And you will be like that girl. You will be tired at the end of it. Which is why you should really practice ahead of time so that you don't forget while you present it. But be sure to include the story of why you arrived at this product. Like, why is it meaningful? And that helps you be memorable. And when you're describing your product, know the hot keywords. Like, if you use some kind of CSS and you built it on top of jQuery, just say, we use jQuery to flush out our front end. It saves you words because you have a whole 10 minutes to present. And you're probably going to spend a minute of that messing up and trying to get your computer connected. Like me. When you're actually presenting, this is my suggestion, is to go from a canned example to a controlled example to a live. And Mike was right about it's either live or you failed, really. But start out canned as in show a page that is already loaded. Do a control. Don't give the URL to everybody yet. Have somebody on your team interact with it to show updates, and then release it. I've been at a hackathon where we did things out of order. Our servers crashed continuously for the full 10 minutes of the presentation. It was not very fun. Have a demo computer and don't touch it. Like when you're at these places where you have hundreds of computers on dozens of Wi-Fi nodes, you can lose your connections. So before you present, walk up next to the podium, connect your laptop, make sure it works, kind of set it down and leave it alone. Like I've had situations where we walk from one node to another, so like 20 feet away, we lose internet and we can't get it back, which actually happened at Arch Reactor when I was presenting this on Friday. Practice, that's the simple one. Prepare a way to do a smooth handoff. This has to deal with the fact that you're all going to be very tired, and it's nice if you have a way to fluidly hand off from somebody who is just stuttering on stage to somebody who can present properly. And hopefully after all that, you present, and then you fall asleep in the back of the room. And that's it. Does anybody have any kind of specific questions? I see some. Lady, or hi, go.
Lady or me?
Apparently you.
Well, my understanding that from what Jim told us, we're supposed to be, thinking about our final projects, and I thought we were supposed to be working on final projects alone. So how are we supposed to combine what Jim told us 2 weeks ago?
Let's clarify this. How many of you think a final project is alone? Is enforced to be alone? You have to do it yourself. Okay.
I've heard rumors to that.
As far as I know, CS50 curriculum says 1, 2, or 3 people. Can you? Yep. You can do it solo, but
I'm not asking to do it solo. I'm just trying to clarify.
okay. Yes. So it is 1 to 3 people. Probably at the hackathon, you could involve more people just to get some stuff done.
That's cool.
Okay. Yes. Yes. This time it's you.
Okay. I know you said it was from
6, yep, that sounds about right.
That's a pretty large chunk of time. So, like, think it'd be okay if we just, had a quick 30-minute kip, and then got back to it.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying about keeping your phone on, it's not uncommon for people, like, groups to check out and go grab pizza and come back. At longer hackathons, I guess because it's shorter than that. But there's nothing stopping you from grabbing pizza and coming back. Or falling asleep for half an hour.
What time do you do the presentation?
Zach can logistically tell you, probably at the end.
Like 2 o'clock?
Yeah, we haven't really planned out the night to that exact. I think it's also an open question whether people will have anything to present after 8 hours. So I think we're going to sort of gauge it as we go. We'll talk to David about what they usually do at Harvard.
Now, what do you mean by live? Is it a live broadcast, like a Ustream?
Well, David is going to stream the event. I believe it's setting up a webcam on the wall somewhere and you can interact or whatnot. But live, as in this last slide, means live as in your website is open to the world. Your web app is open to the world.